I think Charles Crofts and Diane Turner. I believe that others are coming up as well. Are the rest? Yeah, you're going to all come up. So please, you're most welcome. Tēnā koutou katoa, you're most welcome. Please, I understand this is the first time that Ngāi Tahu has presented publicly on the long-term plan of the Christchurch City Council, so I kind of want to make the statement that we're really honoured that you've come, and we are very much looking forward to your submission. Thank you.
Ki te whai au ki te ao marama te hei mauri ora. No reira he mihi tēnei ki o tātou tēnei aitua rātou kua wehe atu i o tātou i tēnei tau, i tēnei marama, i tēnei wiki. Are koutou kia rātou e tatari ana i te taha o tō mātou matunua i te rangi. No reira haere, haere, haere. Apiti hono o tātai, hono o tātou tungoroke kia tātou. Apiti hono o tātai, hono o tātou tungoroke kia tātou. A tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou ngā kanohi ore e noho nei i roto te rūma tēnei. Ka nui te mihi o ngā runanga o Waitaha kia koutou, a tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. Your Worship, as I said yesterday, I'm only here as the pretty boy this morning. My colleagues will be presenting on behalf of us, and I, on their behalf, thank you for the opportunity to present. And yes, it's the first time that I've been involved with Ngāi Tahu presenting to this council. Ever, we've presented more towards you at Parliament buildings when you were in the House than I have ever done here. But I thank you for the opportunity, and they will lead us through. Nō reira, tēnei te mihi aroha ki a koe ki a koutou, ngā mema o te kaunihira.
Kia ora.
They can introduce themselves, Madam Mayor.
Kia ora.
Oh, kia ora, I was just going to sing your waiata.
Oh, okay.
Te wai tuku kiri, te wai te pua, te kare mai hoa e re re nei. Ko koe te wai oraka mo tō iwi, re 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 po ana e.
Nō reira, kia ora tātou.
Kia ora.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Carmel Riley-Aho. I'm the chairperson of Mahanui Kura Tau Limited.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Diane Turner aho. I work out of the Chief Executive's Office of Te Runanga o Ngāi Tahu, and I have been working with the Waitaha Chairs Forum.
Kia ora koutou, ko Debbie Tekau Taku Ingoa. I'm the General Manager of Mata Pupuri Charitable Trust. Kia ora.
Yeah. Make a present. Oh, I don't know. Your Worship, there was a very extensive submission made to the Council on the long-term plan. I think I'm just going to make a few comments and really open up for any questions of clarification around our submission, and we're all available here to answer questions. So as has been pointed out, this is a joint submission under the name of Te Runanga, but made on behalf of the Ngā Runanga of Waitaha, all of which are part of your community of Christchurch. Mahanui Kura Tau Limited, and also with representation from Mata Pulpuri Charitable Trust. Ngā Runanga are the 6 papatipu who hold mana whenua within the rohi of Christchurch City Council. So, one of the issues that we've been coming together with is because we want to develop a relationship with the City Council and recognise that on a one-to-one basis it was going to be challenging. So hopefully by starting, to work together in the way we are, we will be able to build that relationship. Tront is statutorily recognised as the representative tribal body for Ngāi Tahu whānui, and that's established under legislation. And it is created to manage the collective interests of the assets of the tribe, and in doing so support each of the Runanga in a way that enables us and allows us to exercise rangatiratanga and to determine our own destiny so that we can build and sustain our communities as we have done successfully for generations. And I think the relationship with the council recognises the activities of the council and the importance of those in terms of sustaining our communities collectively. It is really important that we have a good relationship with your council, and while we each as Papatipu Runanga have mana whenua over our takiwā, we have come together as chairs to progress issues of mutual interest. One of these is, as I've already outlined, the development of a strong relationship with the council. We value the steps that the Mayor and her council has taken to date, as well as the senior staff, to start building an effective relationship with us, and we look forward to progressing that over the coming months. And, while I say months, a relationship is something that develops over years. It is hoped that our submission outlines the extent of our interests as mana whenua within the city and in the activities that your council has responsibility for. In addition to the Chairs Forum, there are 2 tribal entities that are part of our structure that have specific mandates within the city, and I thought that I would just sort of talk about these because there does tend to be confusion at times. So Mahanui Kurataio Limited and the Matapulpuri Charitable Trust, and if you turn over your page, I've tried to represent that in a graphical form, and what it tries to show is that the Mahanui Kurataio Limited is equally owned by the 6 Papatipu of Greater Christchurch, and Matapulpuri Charitable Trust was established by Ngai Tuariri to represent the interests initially as within the anchor projects of the central city, but obviously Ngai Tuariri has greater interests within city, as do the other 5 Papatipu. So Mahanui Kurataio's primary interest is around environmental resource management type issues and key projects within the council. Matapulpuri's focus has been for recovery and anchor projects. And whilst that might be a simplistic representation, our interests are quite broad-reaching, both within terms of what the city does on a day-to-day basis and the recovery, and in all of those things we look forward to building a much greater relationship with the City Council. Your Worship, that is the end of the formal part of our presentation. We're here to answer any questions that your council may have.
Thank you. And I did acknowledge at the beginning that this is the first time, and I think this is a huge advance for us, and we are honoured that you have come. But the first one that I wanted to kind of address is the mana whenua acknowledgement, and I kind of want to acknowledge that that was a deficiency in the consultation document, but I wanted to offer an assurance that the statement will be included in the long-term plan as it is published. So I just wanted to clear that one off the table because it was a genuine oversight on our behalf, and we're really grateful that you've brought it to our attention. This is something that we do need to address. In terms of the description of the 2 organisations, MKT, as we know, the Mahanui Kurataio Trust and the Matapulpuri Charitable Trust, we don't have a direct relationship with. That's the relationship with Sarah, but I understand that there has been discussion to try and engage in a similar way over our involvement in anchor projects. But it does highlight the importance of establishing engagement relationships around these different things that are going on in our city at the moment. So I really appreciate the fact that you've done that for us all. So Andrew and then Yanni.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed for your presentation this morning, and also for leaving the opportunity to ask questions so that we can better understand the points that you've raised in your written submission. Thank you for that. I want to refer to submission point number 9, referring to the relationship with the Littleton Port Company. And clearly there's an implication within that paragraph that the current relationship with LPC is a constructive one, and I'm pleased to see that. Halfway through that paragraph, you say, we are concerned that a significant number of shares could be sold to an individual or an entity that does not share a desire to work with Runanga over the management of Whakaraupo. And you refer to Mahinga Kai, and you refer to other detrimental effects. What sort of risk are you thinking of, or what sort of effects could you see if there were to be a sale of shares, or more particularly if there were to be a sale of shares to a partner that didn't share a desire to work closely with Runanga in the way that the current port company are doing?
Yes, so the big issue is around Mahinga Kai, and the papatapu around the harbour have worked hard to build up relationships with LPC, and we think that that is fundamental to making a difference within the harbour moving forward. So for us, it's about ensuring that we do have long-term relationships. We recognise that the port company isn't the only contributor to issues in the harbour, but nonetheless they have a very important role to play. So I guess we're just flagging to you an issue that we see is important in terms of the ongoing development of a harbour that is in better health than it currently is.
So respect for that would be a precondition to a sale of any shares in the port company. Yeah. Yanni?
I had 3 questions. One, and thank you very much for your submission. It's great. And I think it probably raises the need, because there's a number of really important issues, to have a much closer ongoing engagement with you on a number of things. So in the brief time that we have today, I really had 3 questions. One was, I hear what you're saying about recognition of Māori and mana whenua acknowledgement in our urban design and in our central city. I just wondered, in terms of what we've heard, is that with the new Ngāi Tahu subdivisions, there's no recognition of naming of streets with the Indigenous culture. So I just kind of find it a little bit strange that you're asking us to take into account those values, but personally I'm not sure that they're happening in your own subdivisions.
While I'm not here today to debate what Ngāi Tahu property are doing, I don't think that's correct, but I think in the broader context there is work going on around naming processes, and I think it is important for us all to consider how places are named and who is involved in that process, and I think there is opportunity, and that has already been recognised in some work that is being done with Matapōpuri around naming processes.
Okay, thank you. Then just the 2 other questions were, one, I really support the concern you've raised around the stormwater overflows, and as you'll be aware, our whole budget is about really prioritising. So we've been told that one of the drivers for Victoria Square was Ngāi Tahu, and when you think about the money being spent on Victoria Square versus the money not being spent on fixing the broken infrastructure.
Yanni, I don't really want to kind of interrupt the question, but can we reframe it?
Well, in terms of our central city projects...
Excuse me, we've already just had a representation about the role of Matapōpuri, which represents Ngāi Tuahariri, and that's the driver for the relationship around the anchor project. So, and they have been... Yes, but what you're doing is you're asking the question in an inappropriate way, given the nature of the submission that has been made. It has to factor into our long-term plan. So if you could rephrase it, but it is not Ngāi Tahu that is involved in that. It is Matapōpuri, which has a relationship an agreement with Sarah in relation to the anchor projects. So
let me try and rephrase it
this is not
in
a
more
submission
general way.
from them, is the point I'm
just trying to
making.
understand in terms of prioritisation of our budget, which clearly we've got a huge amount of money, 160 million being spent on Central City transport projects, not fixing the earthquake damage, but just upgrading, enhancing the Central City roads. You're asking for us to have more of a focus on overflows, raw sewage going into our rivers, which I think makes a lot of sense. But you haven't commented on where, if we're trying to find the money to do that, where the priority should be, at what expense of some of those other projects. And I was just trying to understand, in a general sense, if you had a view on the prioritisation of some of those big, expensive projects happening in the Central City versus these projects that you're saying that should be really important in terms of the cultural values.
So,
So
I know that
the shift is away from the Victoria Square debate now. It's the issue is which, when we're setting priorities, what should we be prioritising in order to get those clean rivers that we all want to achieve?
Well, I recognise that council has many, many responsibilities, and part of your challenge as council is to actually weigh all of those up. Obviously, we do have priorities around land, water, and those sorts of things because they're fundamental to our relationship and well-being with the land. But equally, we realise that council has many different pots that it has to allocate funds to, and I don't think today, in the short amount of time, we're going to come to those answers, but we're happy to engage with your council on those matters.
And I'd like to make that an offer that we have an ongoing engagement around this, that it isn't, because, we've said that this particular long-term plan, although it, sort of legally has to be signed off by the end of June this year, we see it as a base case. It's got to be an iterative process. We don't know all our numbers yet, and we're going to be continuing the process after the 1st of July on capital reprioritisation, and we would love Ngāi Tahu to have more of a role in helping us set those priorities. Phil?
Thank you. I just want to ask you about your submission points about the wastewater overflows and the impact on the harbours. So I certainly understand your point 3 on page 23, how in fact you would like them to be eliminated, those wastewater overflows, and so would all of us, I think. And on page 26 you refer to the harbours, and in the case of Littleton Harbour and Akaroa Harbour, my understanding is that, and without preempting anything, my understanding is that council are well aware of the impact of pollution on those harbours. The Wainui Harbour, of course, as you're aware, has gone out for consultation, and so that is part of this process too. So hearing what you have to say about that really matters to us. But my question too is really how, well, you ask, and we want to, for example, clean up the wastewater, fix the wastewater problems, so that when stormwater adds to the sewage that goes out then to the sea in those heavy rain events. How do we balance that though with, for example, cleaning up particularly the smaller harbour like Wainui, in terms of the costs to us as council?
I don't think we're going to sit here and provide you with the answers to some very difficult and taxing questions that you've got, but I think overall as you develop your strategies, you need to take into account what we consider to be the environmental bottom lines. We absolutely recognise that it's taken a long time for these things to happen. It's not going to be fixed overnight, but what we're asking for is a program that has some clear kind of, goals and putting some timeframes around those.
You'll be pleased to know that it's exactly the position that ECAN have as well. So I think we'll be talking with each other quite a lot over the next few years. Vicky?
Thank you. 2 questions. One, you referred to the aquifers, and I couldn't agree more with your submission. You realise that the ECAN control the water. We would love to get to the situation where going into the aquifers is forbidden. Can I just suggest to you that you make submissions to the independent hearings panel on the subject? And then my question is on social housing. You've asked for strategies and consultation. Can you just tell me who we contact?
Oh no, we're on top of that.
Are you? Okay,
yeah,
right.
Yeah. So
Just for the overall social housing.
Mary.
Okay.
Yeah, Mary's got
Okay.
the details.
Apparently we already know.
We already know. Tim. Okay, Pauline.
Thank you, mine's been answered.
Glenn.
Yeah, Vicky stole my thunder. Quite happy with that. Housing, so
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
we'll dive on.
Jimmy. I didn't think we'd get to you, but the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. One question regarding to the item 10, submission point. You particular emphasize would like to seeking involvement with the council on multi-economic development strategies. But at the moment, the council requests the CDC, Canterbury Development Corporation, to establish the Christchurch also popular wide range, the public of the Canterbury Development Strategy, etc. So the strategy of multi-economic development strategy, you prefer is a part of this kind of Christchurch economic development strategy, or is separate from this strategy?
Well, I think this will be a matter for discussion with the Canterbury Development Corporation. I think just flagging that Māori economic development is important to us all, and it needs to be clearly articulated in plans, no different to recognising us in all the other work that you do.
Yeah. And actually, that's a very powerful note to end on. So, can I thank you again? Acknowledge that the fact that you read the consultation document and looked at our long-term plan, the fact that you put together such a comprehensive submission, and the fact that you came here today, I just think it's been tremendous. And it's not the first part of our engagement, and it's certainly not the last part of our engagement. So thank you very, very much. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Your Worship, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, we're now going to break for a cup of tea. We're slightly behind schedule, but that's okay. So if we could restart again at 11:15.